Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new, hi, I'm Snelia. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm so glad to have you here today. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. This will be my first time doing this on my channel. I actually got the idea from Annette's Makeup Corner and Baddie Bean Beauty. And basically what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing a ranking of my last 10 eyeshadow palettes. Now these are basically the first 10 that I got this year, and then we'll continue on from that. And what you do is you take your last 10 eyeshadow palettes that you received in PR, gifting, boxes, purchased or whatever, and then you rank them by the worst as far as this ranking, to the number one. Talk about what you thought about them, why they're placed in that certain ranking. And I think it's a great way to revisit your collection, the palettes that you get, especially when you're doing like a makeup channel like me. You do tend to get a lot of products and that you're reviewing and wanting to talk about, for your subscribers. This is a good way for you to go back and revisit those products, talk about what you thought about them. It'll also help you later on whenever the time comes and you want to do a declutter. You kind of have an idea refreshed in your memory of what you thought about your palettes. But let's go on ahead and get started. Now I have to admit, even though it's only the middle of March, I have added quite a bit of palettes to my collection. Thankfully, I focus more on budget beauty, so these palettes didn't cost like a ton, thankfully. But on the bottom of this ranking is going to be the Bloomin palette from Wet n Wild. When I first saw this, I was so excited about it. I saw it on Trend Mood. I think it was the first place that I saw it. And I love the Secure Blossoms on the packaging. Secure Blossoms, Cherry Blossoms, they are some of my absolute favorites. So if I see Cherry Blossom or, Cherry Blossom Secure themed makeup, I tend to try to pick it up. But this one, I was not impressed. The two mattes were okay. Nothing special, nothing to write home about. I have shades similar to this in other palettes. The formula was okay, not that great. This shimmer, it has a pretty shift to it. Like it shifts from kind of like green to pink, but it feels like super hard panned. Like you can barely get any product out of it. And then this shade is a pressed glitter and not even a good pressed glitter. Put this on, it just kind of goes everywhere. So yeah, not impressed with this palette. Definitely on the bottom of my ranking. This was not very good. Number 9 is from iHeart Revolution. This is the Disney Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs palette. I picked this up on clearance. It was like $5. I got this with the Mulan palette that you will see later on in this ranking. I thought the packaging was just really cute with the Seven Dwarfs. And I did like the color story. Like this is like a kind of a long lengthwise palette. I did like the neutrals and oranges and everything in here. But one of the reasons why this is ranking so low, each one of the pans is named after one of the dwarves, right? So you would think, having that being the case, you would have each one of the shades representative of their hats. I mean, that's what would make sense to me. But it's missing like the green, it's missing the blues. This would have been ranked higher had they taken the color story on the front of the package and actually used that in this color story. That would have ranked this palette higher. Wasn't a terrible palette, just wasn't one of my favorites. Number 8 is from Pixi. This was their collaboration with Hello Kitty. This is what the packaging looks like. I love Hello Kitty, so when I saw this, yeah, I definitely had to snatch it up. This is the color story. It's really, really pretty, and the formulas are really nice. They're very creamy, but the main reason why this one ranked so low is because it is an all shimmer palette. There are no mattes in here. This one is kind of a satiny matte, but it's still more on the shimmer side. The formulas are pretty. It's not that I didn't like the formula itself, but as far as like a palette that I'm going to pull out and use to put together a look, I prefer palettes that, are like, everything's in it. You don't have to pull anything else to put together a look. But unless I'm wanting like an all shimmer look, I'm going to have to pull mattes from something else because there are no mattes in this palette. Overall, the formula was nice, but because it doesn't have any mattes in it at all, that's the reason why it ranks so low. So number 7, this one is the NYX Professional Makeup Tiger Energy Palette. This is ranked a little bit higher than the other 3 because I really did like the packaging. I like the theming of it. This one is a tri-fold palette, which I thought was really nice. And I like the color story. I think the color story is really nice, but the formula itself is not very good. I love NYX's like lip products, like their lip creams and stuff like that, but their eyeshadow palettes are always extremely hit and miss. Sometimes they may have a good formula, but most of the time it's just not very good. Like their formulas are just eyeshadow for NYX, it's just not their forte. They just don't do very well when it comes to eyeshadows. Liners, lip products, even some of their face products, fantastic, but the formulas in their eyeshadow palettes are just not all that fantastic. Lovely color story. Formula was definitely lacking. Number 6 in my ranking is from Wander Beauty. This is the Wondrous Escape palette. This actually came out of a BoxyCharm. This is my first time using a Wander Beauty palette. I love the artwork on the cover. And this formula was actually really nice. It's your kind of a neutral basic palette with a little pop of blue shimmer in here. But I found this formula to be very creamy, very smooth, very blendable. I didn't have any issues with it. The shimmers in here I found to be very shiny. I love the way that how wet and shiny they looked on my eyelids. Overall, I thought this was a beautiful kind of a chocolate neutral, pop of color eyeshadow palette. This is something I definitely see myself pulling out when I just want to do like an everyday kind of a natural, neutral kind of a look. This chocolate brown shade here, you can use that to kind of deepen up the look to kind of give you a little bit more of a glam effect going on. Overall, I really did enjoy this. This is my first time using a Wander Beauty formula. I was impressed. I have no complaints. Number 5 is the Colourpop Secret Admirer palette. This was part of their Valentine's Day collection this year. I love the artwork. You have the heart with the wings, the calligraphy writing. I thought that was really cool. And the color story I like. It's not my favorite color story, but I do like the different tones in here of pinks. It's not like I don't have these tones in other palettes, but I think this one was curated very nicely. The shimmers in here are really beautiful. I've never really had an issue with Colourpop's formula overall. Every once in a while, the formula may be a little bit of a hit, like the Mulan palette, for instance. I love that palette because it's Mulan themed, but the formula was just not very good in that one. But overall, I like the color story. I like the theme. I liked that the shimmers, were really creamy and blended really beautifully. I love the little touch with the hearts, a little different, little added specialness going on with this palette. Overall, I thought this palette was really pretty. Number 4, this one is not a new launch. This actually came out last summer, I think it was. It's one of the BH Cosmetics Sweet Shop palettes. This one is in pistachio. I included it in this ranking because it is newer to me. I got this from TJ Maxx, I think about a month ago. This one is an 8-color palette. Smells like pistachio ice cream. Oh my god, it smells so good. It's just this really pretty, just kind of a green monochromatic palette. The main reason why I rank this one higher than the Secret Admirer palette, the formula in this one is a little bit better. I think it's a little bit creamier. I think it's a little bit smoother. It's also more unique to my collection. I don't really have a lot of green-based palettes, and I thought this one was absolutely beautiful. All the different tones of green in here, these shimmers, are so creamy, so buttery, so wet looking on the eyelids. This is my 3rd Sweet Shop palette. I have the cherry one and the orange one. Unfortunately, these are discontinued, and BH Cosmetics as a brand, as far as I know, no longer exists. From what I heard, they sold to Revolution Beauty, Makeup Revolution, iHeart Revolution, whatever it is you want to call them. There's so many names underneath the umbrella. I'm hoping that what they'll do is keep this formula, because it would be very sad for them to take BH Cosmetics, in to their, as one of their umbrella brands and then change the formula, because BH Cosmetics has a good formula. The way that they handled their business last year wasn't very good though, with all of those crazy launches. You'd have a $200 launch and then a week later, another one. They're not Colourpop. The reason why Colourpop can launch so much is because they do everything in-house. Their products are made in-house. Their packaging is made in-house. So they can basically, print everything and make everything to go and to order. That's the reason why they're able to launch so much. BH Cosmetics, they can't do that. And so it's understandable why they ended up filing bankruptcy, but it's really sad because they just have a beautiful formula. Number 3, the Soulfly palette from Colourpop. This one I really, really love. I love the dragonfly themed. There were 3 palettes, I think, part of this collection, as it were. They launched so much stuff, but I thought this color story was really pretty. I love this kind of a suede satin blue here. So deep and rich and grungy. This color story is similar to the Wander Beauty one. Hold on just a second. As far as like some of those mattes, like you can see like here, there's similarity here. And there's a little bit going on. You also kind of have that little pop of blue in there. But I find this one to be just a little bit richer than this one because of that blue. This is a little bit of a deeper chocolate brown in here. Just overall, I thought the formula in this palette was really pretty. I think this is a bigger pan. Let me see. Yeah. This one is like, I think the Tinkerbell one, and I can't remember the other one, but you know, they have like the new palettes now with the bigger pans. So yeah, these are the bigger pan formula, but this was a beautiful palette. Number 2 is the I Love Revolution Disney Mulan palette. I think we know why I ranked this one high. I love Mulan. She's my favorite Disney princess. And I just love the I Heart Revolution Disney theme that they're doing with the princesses and this book style palette. I mean, it literally looks like a storybook, which I just think is just absolutely brilliant. The artwork, absolutely beautiful. You got the purple, then you have the gold trim, the picture of Mulan, which looks like a stamp. Absolutely love that. And while this was not like my absolute favorite color story, the formula was actually pretty good. I did do a video using this palette and I didn't really have any issues. My only complaint is that there is not a rich red blush. This shade right here called Guardian Dragon, which is a highlighter. This palette would have been perfect if this, rather than being a highlighter, was a red shade. It would have been absolutely perfect. But other than that, I enjoyed this one. I think between the Princess palette books that I currently have from Revolution, the formula in this one was one of the better ones. I Heart formula, Makeup Revolution, Beauty Revolution, London, whatever you want to call them, their eyeshadow formula tends to be hit or miss as well. So when it's a collection that doesn't have to do with a theme like Disney, those are really, really good. Those formulas tend to be really nice. But when they have like a themed palettes like these from Disney, the formula is not like their best. Like their focus was the packaging more so than the formula. But overall, I did enjoy this palette. And number 1 in the ranking, if you can guess, although I have used so many palettes since then, is the Beauty Bay Love Notes palette. Now, I have not heard a lot about this palette, and I remember when it first launched, there was a lot of like kind of criticism, not so much criticisms, but just not really excitement about the palette with the color story. Like people felt like it was kind of repetitive, like it didn't look like it was anything just amazing or it stands out. And I can see that when you compare it to the Wilderness palette and the Age of Opulence palette. I can understand that. This is more, kind of basic and simple in comparison, but the formula in here is absolutely beautiful. Everything blended so nicely. I didn't have any issues. Their mattes are very, very buttery and smooth. I never have an issue with blending. Where this palette really shines is the shimmer formula. It's just so super creamy and buttery smooth. It goes in the eyelid like a dream. Shiny, wet looking. Even though it doesn't look like there's much going on with this palette, doesn't look like there's much depth, I really did enjoy it. I felt like I was able to do some multiple looks with this palette. I mean, you've got pinky little corner here, purples in here, you got more neutral in here. I was actually able to put together some nice looks with this. I did get a lot of depth, even though it kind of looks like there's not much going on in here. Overall, I love this palette, and where this particular ranking is concerned, this one was number 1. All right, guys, so that is it for this ranking video. Let me know down in the comments what you thought, if you enjoyed this, because I would definitely love to continue doing it. It's a really nice way for me to revisit the palettes that, I have recently used. Let me know if you have any of these palettes, what you thought of these palettes. Are any of these some of your favorites? Would you have placed them in the same ranking? Would you have, placed it lower or higher? Definitely let me know. Sound off in the comments. I love hearing from you guys. If you are new to my channel and you're not already subscribed, I would love it if you would consider joining my little family and hitting subscribe, and make sure you tap the notification bell so you can get notified of any videos coming up in the future. If you like the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. It really does help the channel. And be sure to follow me on my other social medias. I am on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and Twitter. Be safe. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.